Founded in 1991 by the DOC, Dr. Dre, Suge Knight, and Dick Griffey, Death Row Records became the cutting edge of hip-hop, releasing multi-platinum hip-hop albums by West Coast-based artists such as Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, The Dogg Pound, and Tupac Shakur. At its peak, its revenue exceeded $100 million a year. However, the arc of its rise and decline was always marred by violence and the gangsterism it supposedly glorified. Its stunning success, and the business acumen and talent that made it possible, makes its demise, along with the death and imprisonment of so many of those who were part of it, that much more striking. The story of Death Row Records cannot be disentangled from that of its most prominent founder, Suge Knight. Born in Compton, California in 1965, Marion U. Knight Jr., or Suge, a nickname derived from Sugar Bear, excelled in football and track at Linwood High School. He later played football at both El Camino College and the University of Nevada. Though invited to the Los Angeles Rams training camp, he went undrafted, but did play 2 games for the Rams during the 1987 NFL player strike. After the NFL, Knight found work as a concert promoter and a bodyguard for celebrities, including Bobby Brown. In 1989, Knight formed his own music publishing company. He scored a huge cash infusion when Vanilla Ice, birth name Robert Van Winkle, agreed to sign over royalties from his smash hit Ice Ice Baby. The song included material allegedly written by Knight's client Mario Johnson. In what would not be the last example of his willingness to use violence, Knight and some accomplices showed up at Vanilla Ice's hotel suite on the 15th floor of the Bel Age Hotel. According to Vanilla Ice, Knight took him out on the balcony and implied he would throw Vanilla Ice off unless he signed over the rights to the song. Knight next formed an artist management company and signed West Coast hip-hop artists DJ Quick and the DOC. He also met several members of the seminal gangster rap group NWA. The DOC, as well as Dr. Dre, wanted to leave both NWA and their label, Ruthless Records, which was run by Eazy-E, another member of NWA. According to NWA's manager, Jerry Heller, Knight and his henchmen threatened Heller and Eazy-E with lead pipes and baseball bats to make them release Dre and the DOC from their contracts. In 1991, Knight, Dre, and DOC founded Death Row Records. Knight vowed to make it the Motown of the 90s. The label was an immediate success. Knight secured a distribution deal with Interscope. Dre's 1992 solo debut album, The Chronic, went triple platinum. And in 1994, Snoop Dogg, Dre's protege, went quadruple platinum with his album Doggy Style. The same year, Knight posted a $1.4 million bail for imprisoned rapper Tupac Shakur in return for the rapper agreeing to sign with Death Row. This set the stage for Shakur's 1996 double album All Eyes on Me and the Don Killuminati, The 7-Day Theory. The following year, Knight opened a nightclub in Las Vegas called Club 662, so named because the numbers spelled out MOB on telephone keypads, MOB standing for Member of Bloods. The success, however, did not come without controversy and feuds. Soon after the release of the album Doggy Style, Snoop Dogg was charged with murder, which made Death Row the target of politicians and civil rights activists such as C. Dolores Tucker. These critics claimed gangster rap was degrading to black women and encouraged violence towards police officers. Tucker singled out Death Row Records for glamorizing the gangsta lifestyle. This criticism may have scuttled a lucrative deal with Time Warner. And in August 1995, at the Source Awards, Knight insulted Sean Puff Daddy Combs, the founder of Bad Boy Records. Combs supposedly had a tendency to ad-lib on his artists' songs and dance in their videos. Knight announced to the audience, "Anyone out there who want to be a recording artist and want to stay a star, and don't have to worry about the executive producer trying to be all in the videos, all on the records, dancing, come to Death Row." As the fuel escalated, Combs ended up using guards from Nation of Islam Mosque No. 7 for protection, as he was receiving death threats from gangsters connected to Knight. Later, while in New York, Suge visited Uptown Records, where Puff had started in the music business. Apparently, without paying Uptown, Suge obtained the releases of Puff's prime Uptown recruits, Jodeci, its producer, Devon Swing, and Mary J. Blige, all signed with Suge's management company. On September 24, 1995, Suge Knight slapped Sean Puffy Combs at a birthday party for Jermaine Dupri in Atlanta at the Platinum House nightclub. This instigated a heated dispute between Combs' Bad Boy Records entourage and Knight, along with Knight's bodyguard, Jay Hassan Jamal, Big Jake Robles, a Bloods gang member. Later, outside the club, Puff's bodyguard, Anthony Wolf Jones, was seen aiming a gun at Robles while Robles was entering a limousine. Robles later died of a gunshot wound. Puff and his bodyguard, through their attorneys, denied any involvement in the incident, and over 20 years later, the case remains unresolved. On September 7, 1996, Tupac Shakur was in Las Vegas, Nevada, to attend the Bruce Seldon vs. Mike Tyson match with Suge Knight at the MGM Grand. Afterward, in the lobby, someone in their group spotted Orlando Baby Lane Anderson, an alleged Southside Compton Crip who allegedly had tried to snatch his neck chain in a shopping mall. The hotel surveillance footage shows the ensuing assault on Anderson. Afterwards, Shakur headed with Knight to his Death Row nightclub, Club 662, in Knight's black BMW. At about 11:15 p.m. at a stoplight, a white four-door late-model Cadillac sedan pulled up to the BMW's passenger side, and an occupant rapidly fired into the car. Shakur was struck 4 times, once in the arm, once in the thigh, and twice in the chest, with one bullet entering his right lung. Shards hit Knight's head. Shakur was taken to the University Medical Center at Southern Nevada, where he was heavily sedated and put on life support. In the intensive care unit on the afternoon of September 13, 1996, Shakur died from internal bleeding. In 2005, Chuck Phillips of the Los Angeles Times wrote an LA Times 2-part series titled "Who Killed Tupac Shakur?" After examining police affidavits, court documents, and interviews, Phillips concluded that the shooting was carried out by a Compton gang called the Southside Crips to avenge the beating of one of its members by Shakur a few hours earlier. Orlando Anderson, the Crip whom Shakur had attacked, fired the fatal shots. Las Vegas police discounted Anderson as a suspect after questioning him once briefly. He was later killed in what police said was an unrelated gang shooting. The article also implicated other East Coast music figures, including Christopher Biggie Smalls Wallace, alleging that he paid for the gun. Despite this evidence, there was, and continues to be, speculation that there is more to the story. And when Shakur's East Coast rival, the notorious B.I.G., was murdered in a similar drive-by shooting in Los Angeles, California, on March 9, 1997, speculation arose that Knight was involved and that Biggie's death was a revenge killing. A theory accusing Suge Knight in the deaths of both Biggie and Tupac was that of ex-detective Russell Poole, who conjectured that Knight had Tupac killed before he could part ways with Knight's label, and then conspired to kill Biggie to divert attention from himself in the Tupac case. A key source for Poole's theory was Kevin Hackey. Hackey, a former Death Row associate, said that he had knowledge of involvement between Knight and officers of the LAPD. Later, this theory formed the basis of a $500 million lawsuit by the family of Biggie Smalls, the Wallaces, against the city of Los Angeles. Former death row artists, including Snoop Dogg, have also accused Knight of being involved in Tupac's murder. By 1996, death row's notoriety for gangsterism and Suge Knight's volatile behavior — employees were assaulted as punishment for not following orders — had begun to fracture the company. After the death of Shakur in 1996, MC Hammer left the record label. That same year, Dr. Dre, frustrated with the company's increasingly thuggish reputation and Knight's violent inclinations, left and formed his own label, Aftermath Entertainment. And in 1998, Snoop Dogg, after openly criticizing Knight for the murder of Shakur, left the label and formed his own record label, Doggy Style Records. On February 28, 1997, Suge Knight was convicted of parole violation and sentenced to 9 years in prison, causing Interscope to drop their distribution deal with the label. From behind bars, Knight did manage to maintain artistic control as well as engage in smear campaigns against former artists such as Snoop Dogg. The label supported itself with releases pulled from vaults, most successfully various posthumous Tupac albums, along with Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg re-releases. And Knight did sign some new talent. In 2001, Liza Left Eye Lopez, member of the R&B girl group TLC, signed with Death Row to record a solo album under the pseudonym Nina, new identity not applicable. However, Nina was canceled after her death in April 2002. On April 24, 2006, both Death Row Records and Suge Knight simultaneously filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. This was due to civil litigation against him, in which Lydia Harris, a silent co-founder of Death Row, was said to have been cheated out of a 50% stake in Death Row Records. Prior to filing, Knight had been ordered to pay $107 million to Harris. Suge Knight eventually lost control of Death Row Records and his personal assets when Chapter 11 trustees took over both cases. In September 2018, after years of altercations with the law, Knight was sentenced to 28 years. He had pleaded no contest to voluntary manslaughter after crashing his car into 2 men after an argument at the Straight Outta Compton film set. One of the men, Terry Carter, died. Knight is currently incarcerated at R.J. Donovan Correctional Facility in San Diego and will not be eligible for parole until October 2034. In his seminal work, The Prince, Machiavelli stated that to rule successfully, one must be both a lion and a fox. One must have the fierceness of a lion to frighten enemies, but a controlled fierceness, used only when necessary and guided by guile and intelligence. Strength, used recklessly and without caution, must turn inward and lead to destruction. This is Deviant Knowledge. Thanks for watching.